Innovation is the core of game design. Wherever the game is still incomplete, it requires more of certain elements already present or appears as excessively mundane. Through games, we strive for evolution. It's part of interactivity. New, noticeable features define a series' future. If they are implemented through progressive innovation, and if its innovation is quantified through detailed feedback. Narrative and ludic structures need to balance familiar and surprising, since familiarity brings a sense of belonging to your game. Characters are crucial to games, hence making use of species to make the games more memorable is more desirable. The same principle, though, applies to world building and adventure design. To balance the familiar and the surprising must make use of focused innovation, focusing on the core elements of games such as user interface, replayability, and character development is crucial. It's essential to define if any of these elements need to be represented more, and be introduced to new players by the bias of new characters. Games require novelty. Novelty through customization, novelty to enhance the replayability factor, and novelty to maintain the balance of the series in the long run. If you wonder what may be missing in your series of games, focus on the core mechanics. Create a hierarchy of mechanics. As you innovate these mechanics, you want to admit a certain level of unbalance through your game. Always favor uniqueness over balance, as you won't be able to establish your core mechanics hierarchy in the first games. Implement progressive innovation. Innovation should be incremental, as you're looking to support the uniqueness factor of your game in order to maintain the sustainability of your series. Ask for detailed feedback from your team and from your public. You'll need implementable procedures. Simple advices won't be enough and won't be useful. Ask your team and your public what's missing in the game and how it should be implemented. Each piece of narration should balance surprise and familiarity. Your games will evoke familiarity, as creating a sense of belonging is critical. You want your players to return to your games. The easiest way to create a sense of belonging is to review familiar concepts and grant them new forms. As for species, you want to invoke known species and combine them in order to create new species. Creating a diversity of character through a diversity of species is the way to go. Modifications, and namely combinations, will make sense in the context of the ecology you're creating. It is your world to design what's unusual and what's usual. Just like for species, world building and storyline follow the world of context. You'll need a diversity of storylines. This diversity is defined by the context of each storyline, namely the combination of its genre and its frame, which is defined by you in order to obtain a target rhythm through target emotions. As much elements of your games do not need to be reviewed, you want to practice focused innovation. Then on what should you focus? Your focus will be oriented mainly by scale, as well as the different issues and needs displayed through the series development. With every new episode, you want to review the core rules of your series, which mainly include user interface and the clarity of your map, the replayability factor and namely its dimension of customization, and characters' roles and relationships. The right amount of innovation is more, which is why it should be targeted. Developing the originality of the series through its core elements by ensuring their constant revigoration is the source for sustainability. Creating new characters, namely by the bias of creating and implementing original species, is an easy way to keep the public's attention. Making use of archetypes ensure you a clearer structure, and exaggeration through the creation of quirks ensure that your characters and therefore your environment and your stories become more memorable.